Hi, Carl here for Pro AV TV. I'm at IBC 2017 at the Kino Flow stand to look at some new lights. Okay, so Frida, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Well, thanks for coming by.
So, what have we got new?
We have a Celeb 850, which we see right over here. This is sort of an extension of what we've been doing with our Image 87s, our Waller lights. It now is about, it's also substantially brighter than what we've had in the past. What's featured on this now is that we have our full color capability, which means we have a wonderful white spectrum in 2700 Kelvin and 6500 Kelvin. We can track anywhere between 2500 Kelvin and 9900, and then on top of it all, we can generate any kind of a gel color you like to see. We have RGB capabilities. The entire unit is wireless, so if you want to communicate to it through a board, not a problem.
So it's full RGB, and what about the white LEDs in here?
Where we stand out amongst the rest of the cacophony of products that is out there is we're starting with two full spectrum whites. Our 2700s is a full spectrum white. Our 6500, these are all, we've had a history of blending phosphor for fluorescent lamps. And we've applied that same understanding now to the LEDs. So we're determining the blend on our 27s, we're determining the blend on our 65s, and then with just a little bit of RGB, we're able to now track black body curve and give you a full rendering of, or a full spectrum rendering of all those colors.
Okay, so where do you see this being used? I mean, what's the use purpose for this?
A source this large is an ideal soft cosmetic source as a large soft key. Interiors, anywhere, nowadays we're shooting anywhere upwards of from 800 to over 1000 ISO. At that level, on a night interior, this will be operating, below 10%, I'm sure. The beauty of it is that at 800 watts, we're actually able to use that also as a daylight fill source. So if we're doing an interior, you've got windows, there's enough punch here to fill that. At the same time, you can run it off the wall. 800 watts, yet your light potential is substantially higher than that.
Can you run it off battery power, or is it too big for that?
This particular model, you would have to run through an inverter to be on battery power. We're looking at doing some innovations that will allow us a battery feature in the model following this. The other units, for the most part, are battery operable.
So I noticed it's got a honeycomb on the front now. What other accessories work?
We've got a great accessory, which is a large, soft snap bag. So we're taking this source here, expanding it out to 4x6. We're able to put a louver on it as well. Beautiful soft source. I mean, when you're talking about doing portraiture or any kind of a close-up, personalities that need to look good, you can't look better. Yeah.
So, that's the Celeb. What else have we got here?
We've got the Freestyle. The Freestyle is an extension of what we did with our Select line. On the Freestyle now we're also offering a tray. So the Freestyle pulls out of the fixture, and we have two ways of doing it. One is the traditional Kino Flow fixture format with the barn doors.
So that's two barn doors, one sort of
It's the classic look. It's a classic look of our 4-bank or our 2-foot 4-bank. You have the ability to put the ballast on the back. You have the ability to run remote. Again, all of our stuff is wireless now, so none of that's an issue. The Freestyle 31 has a fabulous new tray, which allows you to, if you want, you could actually take that tray and mount it straight to a ceiling. We've displayed it on the back over here on the wall, where we've mounted a number of units directly on the wall.
Just flat mounted on?
Flat on. At the same time, you also have the ability to carry the electronics with it if you so choose.
Cool. And in terms of how it differentiates from the Select 30, because I think there's been a little bit of confusion there with our customers, they are essentially the same light, aren't they?
The panel itself, the light quality, the drivers, identical.
Yeah.
This is a mechanical change. We started off with the Select. That's where we started. And then listening to clients and saying, it'd be nice if we could pull it out. And he said, well, if we're going to do that, let's really look at what else you can do with it once it's pulled out. So the difference now is between the old one and the new is that the new one actually has corners that you can, when you put the unit on the floor, it'll actually stand up. It also has rigging points on the corners. It also acts as a bit of a buffer that should you take a hit on the corner, it's not going to damage the panel. It may damage the plastic fitting on the end, but again, the idea is that that's a replaceable element.
I'm just thinking of film sets and gaffers and stuff like that. They must be rigging this thing all over the place.
Yeah. Well, again, it's predicated on the 4-bank. Our 4-bank was the workhorse of the industry. And we've modified it a little bit from that. We've maintained the weight, the light output, and we made it just a touch shorter, just to get it easier, to make it easier for a lot of the guys to get into their cars. I mean, we were predicated, we were locked into 4 feet because of the lamps, but now we don't have to do that. So this size, I think, is a very handy size.
It's always been Kinoflow's strength, certainly from an outsider's point of view, seems to be that, I mean, you guys are gaffers. That's
well, all of this comes from both Gary and myself as designers. We're both LDs, we're both gaffers, and so we think about all those aspects. It's not just a light; it needs to be a tool. It's our paintbrush. How do you work with this? How do you rig it? So a lot of the things that if an engineer were to look at it from the outside in and look and go, that's rather unusual. Why would you do that? Well, again, there are all these bizarre little reasons that you could, that to have to articulate it to someone is more trouble than it's worth. So we sort of know what we like to do, and this is how we do it.
Absolutely. Do we want to mention the batteries? You showed me a couple
Absolutely,
of batteries.
yes. And the other thing that we're finding is that a lot of our stuff is also being used by news crews. Yeah. So we actually have a Diva Light LED. Has a slightly lower price point than some of the other models. But the important thing on batteries now, with lithium, traveling is such a chore. So if you're traveling with lithium, they need to be discharged to 30%. When you arrive, it takes 4 hours for them to be reloaded. So what we're offering now is we're showing a 140 watt hour. It's called Block Battery. It's a company in Los Angeles is doing some fabulous battery designs. They're nickel metal hydride, a little heavier, but you can travel with them fully loaded, fully charged. The discharge on the 31 is about an hour and 10 minutes. Full light out. Recharge time is an hour and a half. You rarely operate on an interior at full light output, at least from what we're seeing. So in theory, then you could cycle 2 batteries all day and keep shooting.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time.
It's a pleasure.